Up here on the Rattlesnake Reef, Third Chain Islands, Cedar Dugout, Belden Lake, all this area up in here with all the shell, man. Lots of fish are on shell. Trout primarily are on shell. These are areas that are holding lots of fish. You just got to work them. Just kind of work your way up and down the reef areas. Just pick you a spot out that you want to do and just kind of start going down it, see what your wind's doing. We've got a lot of disturbed weather that's coming our way. So that's something you need to take into account moving forward this week. So just be aware of that. Just kind of set yourself up where you can dash if you have to because of what potentially is taking place. Anyhow, we've been working these reefs all in and around these areas here, both inside, outside. The Ayers Dugout Reef, or excuse me, the Cedar Dugout Reef, inside of the reef there, and then kind of done some to the outside of it, but primarily on the inside areas, just working up and down those, locating a few redfish that have, swimming up and down these areas. Trout primarily, I say a lot of that, especially on the outer edges of that, all the shell. So if you're fishing any areas right now, whether it be, here in the Carlos and Mesquite Bay area or over in Ayers Bay or San Antonio or parts of Aransas and Copano, get on your shell reefs, man. That's where we're locating lots and lots of fish holding over those areas right now. So if that's what you want to target, those are the places you should be going to, at least to start your day, and then kind of migrate from there to see what you want to do after that. Primarily just, the minors and majors have been good for us. Anything outside of those time frames, at least for us throwing artificial, it's been a little bit of a grind. Like I say, we're fixing to be in the big moon here in the next couple of days, so something to take in consideration being those transition days, wild card days, so to speak, and then we've gotten into those first 5 days of the full moon. So it's kind of usually that's what shows itself, what kind of leads up to that. It kind of lets you know if you weren't tracking that kind of thing. A lot of fish being caught right in the front lip or that bottom lip, so they're just kind of biting short because they're not super aggressive at the moment. So your evening times and your early morning times, especially with that moon rise and moon set, should be pretty good during those time frames. But you just got to get out and find and fish and see what happens and let the fish dictate to you what's going on. But again, we've primarily we're throwing down south. The original size and the burner shad has been good for us. The mirror lure Little Johns have been good. The knock and tail lures have been good for us as well. Just a bunch of different variety in the color scheme, just kind of letting the water dictate what that is. Most of the water we've been fishing has been pretty clean for the most part. Not crystal clear, but just a tad bit of stain, but you can see down 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet, depending on where you're at. Depending on which reef you're fishing on, that water stays pretty clean around those unless it just starts really blowing. And then, of course, it'll dirty up a little bit. But most of the days that we've had, they've been pretty good days as far as catching goes. Like I say, we've had to grind some in between the majors and minors trying to get to those bite frames and just kind of work our baits. But again, pay attention to what your weather patterns are going to be this week. It's going to be an interesting week ahead. Out here on Long Reef, all the reefs, again, it's going to be a common theme we're talking about on this particular week is the reef, man. We're really focusing on fishing the reef areas all up and down here on either side of the ICW out here. Just kind of find you a spot there. Some of these reefs are not exposed anymore. Long Reef took a pretty good beating from Harvey a few years ago, and it really washed a lot of it away. It's still there. It's just, 3 to 4 feet underneath the water now. So you can drift it if you want to, throwing lures over that. Most people are just, the bait guys are throwing bait, they're anchoring up and throwing it still off of that reef, and it's producing pretty well for them. We're just working these things, finding the depths that we can comfortably wade and not have to be, chest deep in some of it. But you got a lot of, like I say, it's all underwater. So you just kind of locate these little reefs that are out here, see some that are sticking out, paying attention to what your tides are doing. So if you get one of those, possibly one of those lower tide days, then you can see a little bit more of it is a little bit more exposed in these areas, all these little reefs that are out here. So that way it makes it a little bit more easy to work them. Like I say, once upon a time, they all used to be exposed at a point, and it made them pretty easy to fish, and they were very productive. They still can be and still are. You just have to take your time. Of course, you can jump around with them out there and see what goes on with it. But like I say, we're working both the windward side and the leeward side of these reefs to see what side these fish are holding off of, if they're hanging off the deeper edge or if they're hanging off on the more edge that just kind of tapers out from that. So that's just kind of thing that you have to kind of locate and see what's going on. Plenty of bait, man. Bait all over the place. Doesn't matter where we're fishing. This bait, it's out here on the deeper water. It's out there over top of the reefs. It's on your shoreline. So that is not an issue whatsoever. Again, majors and minors are the main things that we're really focusing in and around those time frames. And now the thing that's going to also take in effect too is starting to get warmer and warmer and warmer, and water temps rising, air temps are getting up there touching the 90s now. So what's going to happen with your trout bite, probably sooner than later, is you're going to be on those fish. You're on the water by 6:15ish, 6:30ish, whatever, and you're catching your fish early or getting your opportunities early. And then as that sun starts creeping up there, and then that 9-10 o'clock hour, that bite's going to start to taper off on you. So if trout are what you're really wanting to fish for and try to find, you better have to get those suckers early, man, because once they shut down for a while. So the main thing is really work and, fish the deeper edges. You can, the rule of thumb is fish shallow early, deep late, especially in the summertime. That's your main thing that you really want to focus on during that time frame. That water's cooler up there in the early morning hours, and then, of course, as the sun rises, those fish start to drop off in that deeper water. But, again, main things we've been throwing here, still throwing a 16th ounce jig head, allowing that bait to really work there, because we're not fishing 6, 7, 8 foot of water. We're fishing, if we're fishing deeper edge, it's probably 3 to 5 foot, so that's still enough time for that bait to really fall for you and do what it needs to do so you can locate. But again, the down south, specifically Twisted Tea has been good, white ice, bone diamond, and those flavors. In the burner shad, mud minnow, Twisted Tea as well have been good in these flavors. And then, of course, the knock and tail, the rogue's been good, greenback has been good. If that water's really clean, we've been throwing the heavy metal. It's been good for us. Some of the Marker 54, the jerk shrimp, have been pretty good, bouncing that off that shell. Has had good results with that as well. But that's been primarily the baits that we've been throwing out in these areas around these reefs and working all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. Just kind of take that into account with you. Again, with the big moon that's coming, make sure you have your down size, your profile size, and start from there. And then, if you want to move up to a bigger bait, if the fish dictate that, then so be it. But again, really pay attention to the little bitty things that the fish will dictate to you. They'll let you know if you just pay attention to it. Sometimes it's a real subtle thing. And sometimes you may not even realize what it is until after the bite's kind of died off. So try to pay attention to that as much as you can if you're having a difficult time seeing what the fish really want to do. Up here in Copano Reef, once again, same theme, man. Find your reefs, you're going to find your fish. That's just been the way it has been for the last 3 or 4 weeks now. When these fish started moving up on these reefs, didn't matter what bait system you were in, you were locating your fish. Some days better than others, but that's where these fish have been holding over that type of structure. So we've just been working these right down the reef. Doesn't matter what side. Of course, if you fished up here in Copano on the reef side of it, you got all these little finger reefs that come off out here on the tip of it. You can locate that depending on what GPS that you have and what's going on with it. Which type of, what unit that you have on there. Some of it is more graph than others. So just get that and get on the shallow edge of these shell bars like that and just start working them. You'll locate the fish, man. That's exactly all we've been doing. No secret about that. Like I said, they've been holding on that. But what I mentioned just a few minutes ago is the fact that, once we get into that 9-10 o'clock hours, as warm as it has been, that bite has really died off for us. So you may scratch one out later in your morning or at some point in time of your day, depending on how long you're fishing. But your best opportunity is going to be from that, daybreak till about 9:30 is your hot spot time frame in which you want to be in there. So, if you want to strictly target redfish or something to that effect, then you'll be fine. Redfish we've been getting bites throughout the day, opportunities with them. So that really hasn't changed a whole lot from a redfish standpoint. So, but anyhow, we've been primarily locating and targeting our trout. And just see if we can find some of the better ones. And most of the trout that we're catching are in that slot, that 15 to 20 inch slot. But we have caught a few that have been over that slot in that 22 to 24 inch range, which are very solid fish, and it's nice to see them swim off. Lots of these fish have still got eggs in them. So if you really don't have to keep the trout and you just want to target and catch trout, then let them go and give them more time to lay those eggs. The more opportunities we get for fish to lay their eggs, the better our estuaries are going to be for a long haul. But that said, again, majors and minors were our key point thing that we're really focusing in and around on. Some days those have been very good. Some days the bite's not been great. But, we've scratched out a few fish during those time frames. But that's when we have caught them. Once we got away from that major or that minor, then the bite became really difficult, and you really had to work to locate them. Again, big moon's coming a couple of days from now. That will be in play, so you really should be throwing your smaller profile baits right now as it is anyway. Have a variety of colors in your box, profile sizes, and just kind of allow that to just see what plays for you. If you got a few people that are going to be with you wherever you're at, just make sure that somebody's got something different on so y'all can kind of locate and target that area a little bit quicker and really dial in on what that pattern has been. Main thing, especially this coming week, got big depression. Looks like it's rolling in on us, and it's going to be here in the next few days, it looks like. So be aware, keep an eyeball on that thing. And if you got trips planned this week, if you got something going on, friends, family, whatever, just make sure that you're aware of what's going on. If you can fish, just make sure it's safely, that you can safely navigate to wherever you're going to fish. Or if it's not worth it, then it's not worth it. Fish are not going to go anywhere. They'll be there. But anyhow, that said, safety's a great thing on the water, always. So, again, pay attention to what's going on this week. Have a great time on the water when you get the opportunities. Work these areas like this over the reefs and everything, and just have a big time.